The views and opinions expressed on this program are not necessarily those of this station, JVC Broadcasting Management, or its sponsors.
With so many people living longer, the fear of outliving your money becomes a reality for many of us. Will I be a financial burden? Will I outlive my money? How will I be remembered? My name is Neil Himmelstein, president of Main Street Planning Group. Please contact me by visiting mainstreetplanninggroup.com. That's mainstreetplanninggroup.com, or call 631-647-4694. I will introduce you to strategies that will guarantee you will not outlive your money, that can guarantee you will not be a burden on your loved ones. Through a collaborative approach, we will uncover solutions that offer tax-efficient strategies, lifetime income, and legacy planning, choice, organization, direction, and education. That is the code we stand behind. Contact mainstreetplanninggroup.com. That's mainstreetplanninggroup.com, or call 631-647-4694. And listen to me every Friday at 3 p.m. as I host the Main Street Code for Financial Success, right here on 103.9 LI News Radio. Good afternoon. Welcome to the Main Street Code for Financial Success. I'm your host, Neil Himmelstein. I'm here every Friday at 3 o'clock. If you miss an episode, you can catch me on Spotify, on Apple Podcasts, or check me out online, and you can see our past episodes. We have little YouTube videos with all our past episodes. And when we talk about our code, we talk about choice, organization, direction, and education. And we work with hundreds of advisors across the United States with all insurance issues regarding life insurance, long-term care, disability, and annuities. And we have attorneys that call us and agents that call us and work with us all the time. We are a wholesaler. We're completely independent. We work with every insurance company, and we want to design the best scenario for your situation in moving forward in what you need to do. And one of the things we always advocate for is having a financial team of professionals to work with you. If you don't have a team, call us and we'll help you do a team. And today I'm so happy to have with me Valerie Shivers.
Thank you for having me, Neil. I'm so happy to be here.
How are you, Valerie?
I'm doing well.
Fantastic. And Valerie has a show. When is your show, Valerie?
My show is Saturdays at 11:30 a.m.
11:30, and you talk about trusts.
I talk a lot about trusts, estate planning, elder planning, asset protection.
And the name of your show is Do You Trust Me, right?
Will you trust me?
Will you trust me? Okay. Which is a big thing. When you're seeking financial advice, whatever it is, that's crucial. You need to trust people. And I think the problem with a lot of people today is they go online and they think they can hit the Google machine and get all their answers. Yes. They want to do their own wills.
Yes.
They want to buy their life insurance. They want to buy their long-term. Everybody's got an answer online. But you know what? I don't trust that guy online because I don't know who that person is.
Right. Or
that computer is. And unfortunately, in my world, there's so much AI going on, as your world. I know there's been lawsuits about AI and everything else. I know where I'm going here, believe it or not. But even people think they can dial 1-800, buy life insurance, and then realize, oh, I'm not getting what I promised. They think they're getting everything. They find out they have a problem, and then the whole insurance policy is destroyed. And I got a really good call this week, very interesting, from an agent, a local agent on Long Island, and he works with a career company. He has to go through his career company. And then if he can't go to his career company, he goes to another wholesaler, a big wholesaler he went to. And the guy was always great health, and he lives out here on Long Island. And he was getting declines. And then once he got a decline, then one company said, oh, I'm going to rate you very heavily. So it's going to be very expensive for what his needs were. And he called me up, and then I found a company that wasn't going to rate him at all. It's going to be 1/3 the price of what he would have paid. And when he spoke to the client, he says, oh, how did you get this done? He said, I spoke to Neil Himmelstein. Because I know that name. Oh, he listens to my show.
That's great.
Isn't that great stuff?
That is great, yes.
I know. It makes me feel good. It makes me realize why we do these shows.
Exactly, yes.
Well, today I want to talk to Valerie specifically. I've heard some of her shows, and she talks a lot about Medicaid and Medicaid planning. And part of Medicaid planning is this thing called long-term care.
Yes.
And I know you have a lot of strategies to help people once they're in trouble. And I hope to help people before they get in trouble.
Right. Well, we try to do that also.
Yes.
I can tell you just from a long-term care insurance perspective,
Right.
when we're fortunate enough to meet with our clients early on, we do mention that and encourage that. That's certainly a viable option. Unfortunately, once the client finds himself in a situation where they need immediate care, perhaps they're no longer eligible for that sort of insurance. And that's where my strategy comes in.
Correct. So, but there's still money strategies as well as legal strategies, by the way,
Right.
with moving money from one person to another or to a child. And I know that you try and do some trusts and whatnot to help move money. You can also do it with annuities, and there's some things you can do with creating an income. If you have a large asset base and you want to go on Medicaid, you can't just give it to your spouse because they'll put them over the limits,
Right.
to where they still have to spend it down. But if you create an income stream from that through an immediate annuity, believe it or not, with the spouse getting an income,
Right.
you can take that estate way down. Just some little interesting tidbits.
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
I mean, there's a lot of strategy out there. And I think the key to all of this is really the pre-planning.
The pre-planning is so important.
It opens up a world of options for the client, and everyone's needs are different. You mentioned the annuity stream. I have clients who really do rely on income and they need a source of income.
Absolutely.
And maybe they don't realize that until later on in life. It's important to know, I would say around retirement age, what your needs are going to be in the future. Are you going to need that income stream? Is it not important? Everybody's different.
And what I like about Valerie, I spent some time with Valerie at her office the other day, and she said a key word to me, which is so relevant, is so important to me and what I do, is she works with families. Whenever someone's in a crisis situation, even if they're not in a crisis situation, when you're dealing with long-term care or doing planning, other people are involved. I mean, and she likes to get the whole family involved, as do I. It's so important. Listen, you have to ask yourself a question. Let's say you're my age, you're 65, okay? And you have to ask yourself a question. Okay, what if I need help? Okay, in the home, God forbid, a nursing home, the bad place, I don't want to ever go there. I don't like those places. And I don't want to rely on Medicaid for another reason, because something maybe you bring out, but you don't. But if Medicaid's paying for your long-term care, they get to choose the type of care or where the care is. I want to have those options of where, but I don't think my daughter, let's say my wife can't take care. I don't think my daughter's going to fly back from Hawaii, give up her job to take care of me, and I wouldn't want that burden on her.
Right.
So when I talk about long-term care, it's really not for me, it's for her.
That's very true. A lot of the planning that we're doing is for your...
It's not just for me, it's to protect my wife. If my wife is to protect me, I mean, if I start losing my income and someone has to take care of me, I don't want my wife to stop her life to take care of me, nor would I expect her to stop her life to where she has to stay home and deal with me.
Right.
And so it's a huge issue. And long-term care planning, like a lot of planning, long-term care insurance has this stigma of being very expensive. But you tell me what the expenses are if you're in a nursing home or even at home care. What are the expenses, Valerie?
I mean, I was saying earlier today, I had somebody in my office who told me they were spending $13,000, and this is not an exaggeration, for care at home, for their mom to be at home and receive 24-hour care.
Yeah.
That's great. I haven't heard
that's a lot of money.
I mean, generally speaking, it's around $8,000 or $9,000, which is still a pretty staggering number.
At home.
At home. And that's where most of my clients want to be. I also find that, nursing homes, you're looking at $15,000 to $20,000 a month easily.
A month. So that's, $500 a day.
Yeah.
500 times 3, yeah, $500 a day.
$500-600, it's a lot.
And that's huge. And is that for a private room, a nice place, or?
So that's that's your standard cost.
Wow.
So that's not, and then people will ask, well, what about assisted living? Assisted living generally is out of pocket, but that's where the long-term care policies I find are incredibly beneficial, because now you're kind of opening up your options, right? And that's an option.
It's your golden ticket too.
Yeah.
So if you have a long-term care policy, and long-term care policies have changed over the years. There used to be many carriers. Now there's only a couple to choose from. And they've also, a lot of the long-term care is now purchased in hybrid scenarios, either in a combined life insurance with long-term care, or in an asset base where you designate a certain amount of money and you pre-buy it up, which you can do.
Right.
And it has a life insurance component, but it's really like an asset. So there's really 3 type of plans that you can buy now, and we do a lot of planning with that. And when we get back from the break, I'm going to talk to you about one of my clients and some of the work I did and how it all integrates and plays well nice in the sandbox.
Okay.
All right.
Great.
So we're going to be right back. You're listening to the Main Street Code for Financial Success with Valerie Shivers. How can I get a hold of you, Valerie?
I can be reached at 631-569-4334.
And if you need to get a hold of me, it's Neil Himmelstein. I'm at 631-647-4694. Or you can visit me at themainstreetcode.com. And we'll be right back, folks. Thank you. Welcome back to the Main Street Code for Financial Success. I'm your host, Neil Himmelstein. I'm here with my lovely guest, Valerie Shivers. Shivers Law, what's the name of your practice?
Shivers Law Group.
Shivers Law Group in Sayville. Beautiful location. And, Valerie and I were talking before the break about long-term care and the need to prepare and, long-term care insurance. And there's a lot of different options. The old long-term care insurance policies, while still good, have risen in price, and people think, oh, it's so expensive. What's really expensive is if you need care and you need to spend $15,000 a month. That's what's expensive.
Sure.
So the earlier you plan, the better. The easier, the less expensive it is, the less of a burden, the more options you have down the road. So one of the things a long-term care policy can do, there's a couple of things. A good long-term care planning involves many steps. One of them is care coordination. What is care coordination?
Well, I would say care coordination would be if you're looking for, what is your plan? Is that what you're referring to? So are you looking to...
No, so care coordination, what I say. So first off, what's very important in a long-term care scenario is the caregiver is as important as the person needing care. So the caregiver could be your spouse. It could be your daughter, your son. I say daughter because typically it's the daughter.
Neil, I have 3 sons, so
well,
I'm gonna have a son caring.
Okay, so but if a son has to come home and take care of you, he has to leave his job, maybe his spouse,
right,
or he has to make sacrifices. But you don't want him to take care of you. He's going to have to make sacrifices. So caregiving is a very important thing. Care coordination, as an example, is very important, and a long-term care policy will pay for a care coordinator, is getting somebody in to assess your situation and adjust to it. Now, in my situation, my dad, who, he's passed away at 89, he would be 107 today. He had this, I could tell days about my dad, but he basically was wheelchair bound from back and osteoporosis and everything else. And all our kids, we lived around the country, and Mom had passed away prior to him, and Dad was a veterinarian, and he would self-medicate. He had drug companies still knew my dad, but that's what my dad did. But I didn't know if he was taking his medicines. I didn't know anything, so we hired a care coordinator to organize his medicines, make sure he was doing what he could do. He also had a home caregiver, but the home care person was not a trained person. And the minute, his needs were met, he wanted them to sweep up the floors and clean the garbage and do everything else. And he survived it. and didn't go through all his assets, but at the time it was not ideal, in his own home. So that caregiver component is very important. That care coordination of your medicines and everything else, a very important component. The other thing I want to talk about, I'm going to shift gears a little bit because these are things you have to think about at retirement, is leaving an IRA to a son or daughter, how detrimental it could be. It's a tax curse. I hate to say it. But since the Secure Act 2.0, you now have to leave money on a 10-year increments when you leave an IRA, a beneficial IRA. So here's some of the things that we've seen with clients. So we had 2 clients that were on Medicaid, and their aunt and their uncle died, and they left their $100,000 IRA. Well, all of a sudden, that $10,000 a year knocked them off of Medicaid.
Right.
That's a problem.
Because it's really, in essence, becomes an income stream.
That's what it is for the next 10 years.
Yeah.
Or, we have another situation where they had a special needs child, and they were receiving all these governmental services, and they left money, and over the next 10 years, that child can't get coverage.
Right.
All the government coverage is gone. We have another couple that were on Social Security, but they didn't pay any taxes. They were under the limit. They were making about $35,000 a year. And lo and behold, another $10,000 a year. Guess what? Not only is that money taxed when they get it, by the way, it's all taxed. All this IRA money that you're giving to next generation is 100% taxed. And if you have an estate problem, it's estate tax. But now that you're forcing that money out, you could put somebody in another tax bracket. So these people really didn't have to pay any taxes for years. Now all of a sudden, now you don't have to pay taxes on that, let's say, call it $10,000, but now they got to pay the full taxes on their Social Security benefits. So their net benefit is actually less than if they didn't get the IRA.
Right.
Horrible situation.
Right.
So leaving your beneficiary an IRA or a TSA or retirement program can be very detrimental. Now,
Yes.
I had a woman client who is a retired teacher, single, and doing very well. She, I don't know if she was a widow or I think she was divorced. But anyhow, she lived by herself. She had a nice apartment or a nice house, I think it was. It's worth about $500,000. She only had like a $50,000 or $100,000 mortgage left. Not much at all. She had a $3,000 a month because she's a retired teacher. She had nice Social Security, but she had a pension. $3,000 above her expenses that she had as a cash flow. Great positive cash flow. Nothing to worry. Life was good. Okay. She wanted to leave her house to her daughter, but her daughter had 3 kids and they had financial problems, and it had a slight mortgage on it she was concerned about. And she really didn't have any protection for long-term care. But she had a TSA or a 403B or the equivalent of an IRA that she contributed to, and it was $400,000, and it was growing and growing. It's just she doesn't even look at it.
Right.
But her accountant said, "Oh, don't touch that money because you don't want to pay tax on this and that." So here's what my suggestion was for her to improve her life. Now, she had a great life, but I made a massive improvement. So rather than have your daughter pay those taxes and pay them over the next 10 years, first off, if she just left it to her daughter and her daughter says, okay, I'm going to use that $400,000, I'm going to pay off the house, great. The minute she touches that, her income is increased by $400,000, right?
Right.
Okay, so now your tax bracket's wacky. The amount of taxes you're going to pay on that is huge. So that's not good. Okay, so that's a problem. And what if you need long-term care? I like to do the what ifs, but I also want to better your life. I don't want to impinge your life. I'm going to increase your life. So what I suggested to her, let's look at that $400,000 IRA or TSA that you have, and let's turn that into an income stream for you while you're living. Okay, so what that's going to happen is if I buy either an immediate annuity or a deferred annuity with an income rider, you could do a variable annuity, you could do an index annuity where you can't lose the money, you could do a fixed annuity, or you can do an immediate annuity which will pay you forever like your other pensions. And then we're going to take a portion of that annuity, a portion of that income, and buy life insurance with a long-term care rider in case she needed long-term care. So we converted that $400,000 into a positive income stream, which she wasn't using, into $800,000.
Wow.
That's tax-free. Well, how do we do that? We created an income stream, and I didn't, some immediate annuities leave nothing behind, but I created one that would leave something behind. Whatever she didn't use would be left behind. Mm-hmm. And we bought a life insurance policy with an $800,000 death benefit. Oh, how's life insurance taxed to her daughter?
How is life insurance taxed when she...
To the daughter.
It's income to her.
But what is it? How's it taxed, that $800,000? It's tax-free.
So, okay.
Life insurance beneficiary is tax-free. I know. I'm going fast, Valerie. I'm sorry. I know you know this stuff.
I'm intrigued by your plan.
Okay. So this is tax-free. $800,000 is a lot better than $400,000 that are taxable that she has to take out in the next 10 years. And in addition, if she needs the long-term care, she's got an $800,000 long-term care bucket of money, which will come from that policy. But if she doesn't need it, there's $800,000 tax-free. Or if she does need it, she's got a bucket of money to take care of her long-term care and leaves all her other assets to her kids.
It's a great plan.
Brilliant. Thanks. Good stuff. Anyhow, Valerie and I work a lot together in putting together plans that help people. And that's what we're here to do.
Absolutely.
And Valerie, how can I get a hold of you?
I can be reached at 631-569-4334.
And I'm Neil Himmelstein. You can reach me at 631-647-4694. Have a great day, everybody.
The views and opinions expressed on this program are not necessarily those of this station, JVC Broadcasting Management, or